guys, welcome to Season 2, Episode 10 of the Tech Check. Before we begin, here's a word from our sponsor.
Today's sponsor is Anchor. If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. It's free. It has creation tools that allows you to create and edit podcasts right from your phone or computer. Anchor also distributes your podcast for you on multiple platforms such as Spotify and Apple Podcasts. You can make money with no minimum listenership, and everything is in one place to create a podcast. Download Anchor on the App Store or Play Store, or you can go to anchor.fm to create your podcast today.
All right, guys, welcome back to episode 10 of the Tech Check. Today we'll be going over all of the technology, interesting technology news and gaming news over the year. Just recapping it all. So, what do you got first, Vinay?
All right, so the first topic we want to talk about is basically probably the biggest topic, COVID and possible vaccine. I guess to start, what are your initial thoughts about a vaccine coming, and do you think it'll be successful?
I mean, the Pfizer vaccine's already out, which is, I think so far, there hasn't been much news of bad things happening for those who've taken the vaccine. I mean, it's an mRNA vaccine, so in case people don't know, it alters essentially the DNA within the mitochondria of the cell rather than the nucleus of the cell and all that biology stuff. So, I think it'll be effective, the Pfizer vaccine, but we can only wait and see to see how results go through. There's still going to be a bit of time to wait until the actual pandemic itself is over, considering the fact that people who already have COVID need to just essentially tank it out. So I think we should be fine uh, uh, for the after a couple months into 2021, maybe half the year into 2021. I don't see it going into 2022. So yeah,
Has the vaccine worked on kids, or is it just adults?
they're only trying it with people in essential work fields, like people in hospitals, people um, the elderly, well, more elderly people, that sort of thing. I'm pretty sure. So there hasn't been much experimentation with kids. That's the only thing that's a bit shaky. The fact that there hasn't been much testing done with the vaccine before it was used. That being said, there is being well, okay, that's a bit wrong. My bad. It's more like they did animal and human testing at the same time before releasing the vaccine, which is weird because normally you would do animal testing, then human testing, and then sending out to the public if both check out. So I think if the testing went well and is being sent to the public, I think this vaccine should work. But again, it's going to be interesting to see. Well, hopefully it works, and it'll be interesting to see what will happen if it doesn't.
Yeah, I
I
agree.
think there's gonna be mass shipping of the vaccine soon. I read that
I think
somewhere.
there already is.
Really?
It's
Okay.
already been shipped out to a decent amount of the U.S. and around the world. I'm pretty sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the only thing, some concerns with the vaccine is that some people started fainting right after it.
Oh, that's
Like
not
when
good.
like a nurse fainted right after taking the vaccine. But I mean, that might just be like an individual basis rather than a concern for everyone. So I don't think it should be that bad though.
I mean, even if there is, even if it doesn't work, the vaccine itself is a massive step forward in developing a vaccine for COVID. I'm just worried about mutations of COVID resisting the vaccine, and I'm pretty sure there's been reports of mutation of COVID in other parts of the world, which is a bit more
Yeah, there's a new strain of it in the UK.
yeah. UK, France, I think Australia maybe, but I'm not entirely sure. But there is a new strain of COVID, which is a bit scary. But let's hope we can just calm that down and get the original strain out with the vaccine first.
Yeah, yeah, COVID definitely is a game changer. If this vaccine works and everything goes as planned, do you think that all the industries that have been affected by COVID will immediately return to how it was before COVID? Or
No,
okay,
no. Um, there's been just massive changes that have occurred due to COVID. I mean, let's look at the tech in schooling, right? Like with Zoom and Hangouts and stuff like that, and online schooling, right?
Mhm.
I feel like because we're still in a tense situation, people are still going to be given the option to stay at home, and because of that, Zoom, Meet, whatever people use is still going to be huge in what people are in everyone's daily lives, and the fact that it's going to be there because again we're in a tense situation where we're not really sure whether COVID will come back or something like that. So I think there's going to be a good chance that even with employees in work or kids in school or whatever, teachers in school, there's going to be a good chance that online learning and stuff like Zoom and Hangout, Zoom and Meet are going to stay. Um, yeah, I think that's the biggest industry that COVID has, had an impact on. Gaming industry, based on COVID. I mean, gaming rates might drop a little because people are more likely to go outside, but I don't think it really affect much in the market, considering that gaming is still massive. Um,
Yeah. One industry I wanted to talk about was the movie industry.
that will probably be more boosted because people haven't gone to theaters to see movies in forever. At least most people haven't. I
Yeah.
think that because of that lack of movies, people are going to be more likely to go and go to movie theaters, and movies can make a pretty big profit off of that.
And also, you can start like filming now because they were putting a lot of films on hold because of COVID.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be much easier to film movies too, because previously any movies that have been tested, have been recorded, not tested, required all essentially required actors, directors, staff members to be in sort of a bubble during the recording process. So it'll be much easier and a much faster process for recording movies compared to the during COVID stages. I think that'll return back to normal, but it'll be significant. And because it returns back to normal, more movies are going to be put out because less restrictions.
Yeah, I agree. I think honestly, like the movie industry is probably the biggest industry impacted. But that's just my opinion because like obviously no one goes to movies now. But
Yeah, I can agree with that. Saying that the movie industry might be one of the biggest industries impacted by the COVID vaccine. Um, but by COVID itself, it actually, yeah, no, I can see it going both ways. Yeah, I'll agree with that.
yeah. All right, so I guess let's move on from COVID and let's talk about some of the big companies in the world right now and their futures. So let's start out with Tesla. What do you guys think will happen with it in the future?
I mean, Tesla, electric cars are still on the rise. More people are shifting towards electric because it's easier. You don't have to pay for gas. You can just charge it in your home or just go to a supercharger or something like that. Yeah, no, Tesla. I feel like Tesla's just going to keep rising, considering the fact that um, electric cars going to become more prominent. That doesn't stop the fact that their stock is still overpriced, but they're still going to grow as a company.
Yeah. Do you think there's any other industry that Tesla might interfere with besides just electric cars?
Um, Self-driving, as if that's considered an industry, I guess. AI.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, too.
but that's really it. But I don't see them going to AI yet. I feel like they're just going to try and perfect, the electric car and, assisted driving, like operator assisted driving, before they go into full AI autonomous driving stages. So
Do you guys think like Tesla will kind of like take over Uber? Like you know how
take over what?
Uber.
Take over Uber.
Yeah, so like instead of actually people kind of driving around taxis and stuff, like there'd be self-driving cars driving people around.
I don't know if Tesla would take over Uber. I
They
guess.
might. They just. I feel like they just make something like Tesla taxi or something like
Yeah, that's
that,
what I was thinking too, like a Tesla taxi, and it's like its own thing separate from Uber.
Or they might just partner with Uber.
or just buy out Uber.
They could,
But
Yeah, they definitely have
I, I
the.
don't I don't think they have enough funds to buy out Uber, but whatever. They might partner with Uber. They might create a competitor to Uber to try and take over the market. But I can see that happening if they go more deeply into AI and autonomous driving.
Yeah, I think AI is going to be the biggest thing to look forward to in 2021. There's like a lot of
And
about it.
maybe not 2021, but I would say the next couple of years in general. Because yeah, we have been you know, pushing great strides in AI, but I don't think we can come out with a single massive invention of AI or something that incorporates AI extraordinarily well in 2021. I feel like it still needs a bit more time to progress, and we need more time to learn about and that sort of stuff. So I can see it probably happening in the next decade, like within the next decade, and yeah.
Sick. All right, yeah. So, you guys want to move on from Tesla and talk about another company?
Yeah, what do y'all think about Apple over this year?
Um,
They've kind of just dominated any area that they're in. They've been doing really well. Phone wise, they've been selling massive amounts of phones. They've been selling massive amounts of computers. They've had Apple Watches, AirPods, and then with Apple Silicon, and them creating their own chips and all that sort of stuff. They're improving their products further, and making more revenue and that sort of stuff. So
Yeah, they're starting to make everything in-house now. So
yeah,
Apple's really gonna Apple's basically gonna become a monopoly if
I mean at this
it's
point it
already not.
essentially is.
Yeah, basically it's a
It's
monopoly.
been shutting out any other phone company in terms of competition. Samsung's there, but lots of people are already uh, used to the Apple ecosystem and the Apple OS software and all that sort of stuff, and don't really want to move.
I
So,
mean that's here though in the US.
oh yeah, that's true. I mean, yeah, we probably should have specified that I was talking about the US in general. Around the world, though, Samsung is still primarily down just because they make cheaper overall phones, like price wise. So,
I think it didn't Apple come out with a budget phone though. I'm not sure though. I'm not 100%
I
sure.
mean,
They did.
I think they did, but I'm not
Yeah, I
well.
think it's the iPhone 12 mini.
Yeah, but I don't know much about it, so I'm not gonna really speak to that. That being, I still think just Apple might move into the might branch off into the budget phone market just so they can increase their spread even further around the world. But I don't know. I'm not sure how much effort the company as a whole is going to put into that.
I think if they do actually put a lot of effort into it, there's such a huge market like outside of the United States that they could
But
conquer.
there's also so much competition apart from because smaller phone brands, companies like OnePlus who once were in the budget market range and moved up, and then Samsung with their quadrillion different phone models. I mean, they're all in that budget phone industry compared to the sort of price tag big flagship phone side of things where it's usually only Apple, Samsung, and I guess Google and maybe OnePlus. But I feel like there's much more competitors in the budget market range, and I'm not sure if they want to push into that. They might, considering it's Apple and they already have a very good reputation when it comes to phones. So
Yeah, I think that's the big reason why people would want to move from Samsung to Apple. I think problem. I think you did recently, right? You moved.
Yeah, I highly regret it.
Okay. That's cap.
It's not cap.
Okay, why do you regret it?
Because everything was so much easier to use on the Samsung. And it's like I know how to use the iPhone
What
too.
was easier?
Like I could be logged into multiple accounts for different social media.
You-
Like I know on Apple you can like switch accounts, but on Samsung you can be logged in at the same time.
I mean,
So it was just a lot more
I don't
handy.
think it's based off like the device. I'm pretty sure it's just based off the app itself, right? Like
No, it's based off the
No,
device.
that's part of the
Samsung like
OS.
offers that.
Oh,
Yeah.
actually, no, because like, say if you're on like Instagram, right? Do you have like literally in one feed, like say if you have like your normal account and like a burner account, do you have like both like stuff from those account in the same feed?
No, so for Instagram, it's the same as Apple, where you can just switch accounts. But for Snapchat, you have two apps, like two different Snapchat apps.
Oh,
Yeah.
No,
You can do it on Apple, but it's a very sus way of doing it, and I don't feel like doing it.
yeah. Not only that, but I've come at least when I've used my parents' phones for that sort of stuff. Having stuff like what is it? Um, a multi-screen like using multiple screens at once, like having three different tabs open of three different apps is so useful sometimes. For like cross-referencing stuff between apps. Um, then there's interconnectivity within the house, which I mean, I guess that's just for me, but I can just like tap my phone against my TV and then automatically start casting, which is fun.
wow.
Compared to an Apple phone, which is you have to go through the whole
TV.
pair up process. Yeah. Um, but I don't know. I guess it just I personally still prefer Samsung. But that being said, Apple's still a really good company and has a lot of benefits. Um, it just depends on what sort of ecosystem you want to be invested into and what you prefer in a phone.
Yeah, I mean, with my ecosystem, I'm not a very Apple heavy ecosystem. I don't have like a very Apple heavy ecosystem in my house. So, Samsung was a lot more convenient to use because I could like literally connect it to like any device. Like I could use messages on my computer and my Mac as well. So it really didn't matter if I had like an Apple or a different company product. I could still connect it with my Samsung and have like some sort of ecosystem with that. Whereas with Apple, I can only use it with my Mac, which is stupid.
I think that's
Um,
like with Apple though. Like I think that's like a good thing and a bad thing. I remember we had like a giant debate in one of like the earlier podcasts. Like I think it was the Apple Samsung one about like security. And I think that's a good thing that Apple's kind of like restrictive a lot because like now, because I know on your Samsung, right? Like you would probably have like a bunch of really weird apps. I don't know. I'm not 100% sure. It's your phone, but like I think on Samsung you can get like a lot of stuff that you can't on Apple just because of how restrictive Apple is. That's true.
yeah, I mean, I look at the podcast itself. It was so much easier to get onto every single other podcast platform compared to Apple Podcasts. And that being said, Apple Podcasts is still an amazing platform, but the thing is, it's harder to get on there because they have a much more
Yeah, that's
secure
true.
basis.
So long. Yeah.
Yes, they're more secure, and it makes them essentially dummy proof. You can't mess it up unless you're trying to mess it up. But Samsung problem could speak to the fact that it's pretty easy to mess something up if you don't know what you're doing. Um,
Especially if
so
they give you like,
yeah,
no, I'm not talking about it.
yeah.
Rollouts
But
Unlimited is not free on Samsung. Remember that.
yeah, but if you know what you're doing and you're aware of what's happening on your phone, and you want that sort of freedom that comes with being able to do what you want and messing around with your phone, that sort of stuff, I would still stick with Samsung. Uh, Again, that doesn't deny the fact that Apple has a huge place in the market and they're going to keep expanding, obviously. And looking at their last iOS update, where they, you know, mimic some of the customizability that's in the Android OS. I feel like they're going to become more. What is it? They're going to allow users to have more freedom with their phone when it comes to personalizing it. So I feel like that will boost Apple as a whole uh, as time goes on.
Sick. Yeah, so I think let's move on from Apple and then you guys want to talk about SpaceX?
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
mean,
we
SpaceX
covered this
has
in
kind of
yeah, we
a
covered this in a pretty recent episode, so there's not much to talk about here. If you want to check that out, I think it was episode 7 or 8 about SpaceX and Starship and stuff. But um, yeah, I feel like they're gonna make pretty big strides in the next couple of years in reaching Mars, especially in space exploration. It's gonna be interesting to see where we're gonna go from that with possible colonization and stuff like that. It's just gonna be interesting to watch.
Yeah, I mean they already uh did their first test with like reusing their actual rockets this year, which is pretty big.
Yeah,
So now we know that SpaceX is capable of reusing their rockets, and that just saves a ton of money, ton of resources.
yeah,
And I mean that launch is just pretty sick.
yeah.
It was like earlier this year during the summerish, I think. But yeah, that was hype.
Um, is there anything else?
I think that's pretty.
Like any other bigger companies that we need to talk about? Because yeah, there definitely is.
I think the only other bigger companies I guess I want to talk about is probably like in gaming, like Sony and Microsoft. But let's just save gaming to like the end of the episode. That's a whole
Um, one thing we can talk about is AMD and Intel and producing CPUs.
problem. You're the expert.
Well, GG's to Intel. Intel's basically, I don't even know what they're gonna do. If they don't do anything soon, they're probably gonna like run out of money or whatever. Because
Problem.
Intel CPUs are currently not that
Yeah,
great.
for context, I'm pretty sure Intel is running out of sales to different companies because people are trying to make more stuff in house. Correct?
Yeah, so now you have Apple making it in-house, Microsoft starting to switch to in-house. So more and more companies are going to start to switch in-house, which is going to hurt both Intel and AMD. Intel much harder just because Intel's already been suffering for a
Yeah,
while. AMD's customer list has kind of been it's pretty limited compared to, like Apple basically.
yeah.
So Intel or AMD is going to take a hit, but I don't think they're
No,
going to
I feel like
suffer as bad
yeah, I
as
feel like
Intel because AMD is still pretty really good in the GPU market and stuff
yeah,
like that, and their CPUs are still widely popular for you know
independent.
everyone else in
Yeah,
the market. Independent
independent users trying to
PC.
build a PC, considering that AMD is much cheaper when it comes to affordable and mid-power CPUs and stuff, right? So I feel like
Also, you can't stick like the M1 X chip, I believe, in like a Windows computer. So people will still prefer Windows computers for certain things, like gaming and stuff like that. If people are, I don't know, building a Mac, which I don't think is going to be easy, or if people are buying a Mac, then obviously Apple's M1X chips will be really good. But I still think AMD is going to survive just because of people still building their own
yeah,
PCs.
I feel like if AMD does take a hit, it's not going to be as hard and it's not going to be as soon as Intel is, just because Intel's market comes from more powerful chips in like the higher price ranges. Considering they, I think, do have the most powerful CPU in the market right now with I forget what. I think was it the i9? I think it's the
No,
i9.
it's the Xeon.
Oh yeah, the Xeon. But yeah, considering that Intel's main market lies in that high price range, high power CPU, I feel like since people are going to move more in house, AMD is still going to sell just considering that their price range is more mid power CPUs. Um, but Intel's going to lose market because again, everybody's making stuff in house and they don't need the super powerful chips that Intel is making anymore. So it's going to be interesting to see what Intel does to react.
Yeah. So I think that's it for PC stuff, right, guys? Is there anything else to look forward to next year?
Um, the ster I mean, I mean, if you're looking forward to building a PC, it's going to be hype to finally see, 30 series GPUs coming back into market from uh, GeForce because those have been out of stock since essentially the moment they dropped. So if you're looking to buy a PC, those are some good GPUs to look into when they finally come back in stock sometime, hopefully soon. So for I guess that's it for PC stuff. Is it when
or huh?
are there any new GPUs or stuff dropping that I'm not aware of?
I mean, AMD released their new RDNA GPUs, I believe,
I actually
like
didn't know
just
that, so
recently.
that's pretty. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um.
So, I mean, I haven't heard much about those. Mostly, there's been a ton of hype about the 30 series, but I mean, if those are available, you can probably cop one of the RDNA GPUs.
Yeah. Any other large companies we forgot to talk about before we move on to gaming? There
Um,
probably is.
Honestly, nah, not this year, I guess.
yeah, but like social media in general.
Oh yeah, social media company is pretty big considering the Twitter scam a while back, and
Oh yeah,
just
that thing.
security concerns in general with social media. So I mean, I
And now
guess
Snapchat is literally adopting TikTok right now.
I know.
yeah, literally almost every social media platform is. We have Instagram with Reels, we have Snapchat.
No, I mean like TikTok creative abilities. Like you can literally make TikToks on Snapchat.
Oh,
Yeah.
all right.
Snapchat. Oh,
TikTok, yeah,
It's a
TikTok's a big thing that happened in 2020. At least for me, that's when I got TikTok. Even though TikTok technically started, well, it was released like 2 years ago. But TikTok's big. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how they move forward. Ever since they escaped the ban thing that President Trump was ranting about. Um, yeah, I don't think there's much else about TikTok apart from TikTok or social media in general, apart from probably them increasing security over the next couple of years because security is always going to be a concern, and then making it more appealing to users on their platforms.
all right, yeah. So I think that's pretty much it for social media. I mean, it's like everyone's gonna copy TikTok, and then yeah.
I mean, everyone wants a bit of that market, right? Because TikTok is unique, very unique in the way that it captures the attention of users. Like, I guarantee everybody's here has been has scrolled on TikTok for a couple hours at least in one sitting. So,
I could never.
okay, get out of here. All right. But in reality, uh, with Instagram, with Reels and Snapchat, we're essentially making allowing people to make TikToks, and YouTube coming up with their little mini TikTok thing. It's going to be interesting to see how social media tries to capture that same thing, that same area of interest.
Yeah, YouTube is kind of interesting because they like kind of copy TikTok, but not really. They just really
Yeah,
added
because
stories, and then you can just swipe down. The swiping was
yeah,
the only part they copied, I guess.
yeah. So I don't know. Okay, let's move on to gaming then, because yeah, gaming's pretty big. Um, Throwback to our first ever episode last summer. PS5 versus Xbox. Both consoles dropped a while back, but we never really got a chance to talk about them. Um, both have been extremely hard to buy, especially the PS5. Um, what are you guys' thoughts?
In terms of stock for the PS5, I mean, I've been contacting like GameStop like every other day, and I think the general notion is that it'd come back in the spring, sometime in February and March. So definitely, like around February, would definitely take a look at purchasing a PS5 if you want to buy one. But yeah, like it's crazy. There's such a high demand during the holidays.
Yeah. For anybody who wants to know what our answer is on which console is better, honestly, I personally think both consoles are extremely good. You wouldn't be in the wrong if you got either one of them. That being said, if you want to play games that have if you want to play games that have potentially higher graphics requirements or graphics quality possibilities, I guess you can go for Xbox. If you want a generally faster gaming experience when it comes to loading screens and more exclusive games to play, or you have a PC or something like that, then I would recommend PS5. Personally, I would get a PS5. Just and that's I've only had an Xbox the entirety of my life, so
Yeah, and it just comes down to exclusives too. Like if you
yeah,
like,
it mainly comes down to exclusives.
yeah,
Stats wise, both of them are essentially identical.
Yeah, and honestly, I know there's a pretty heated debate about which exclusives are better, but I think PS5 exclusives historically and
Oh no, PS5 exclusives are undoubtedly better. They have much more of them, and they do get a lot of favoritism in certain games like Destiny. So, uh, even despite Halo and Forza making massive sales for Xbox, you can also get them on PC. So
yeah, so it's really
it's not really exclusive. It's more exclusive to Microsoft, whatever you have. Well, what any Microsoft product you have. So
I mean it's
personally, I
still
think
all
would be.
connected through Xbox though on PC.
Oh yeah, true, but um, still, you don't need an Xbox console to technically play Xbox games, Xbox exclusives.
Yeah.
So in that sense, I would again go with the PS5.
yeah. Looking forward to like future video game stuff. I think that we've historically seen that games that are cross-platform and free typically do the best. Like with Fortnite, that was really popular. It was cross-platform and free. Rocket League's also getting pretty popular. I think Minecraft is also cross-platform, right?
It's not free, but I'm pretty
Minecraft
sure it's
is not
cross.
I think
it's
technically
not cross-platform.
It's not cross-platform now,
all right,
is
never.
it? Apparently
No,
not.
I mean, if you go onto like certain servers, they are cross-platform. Like Creepers Lab servers are cross-platform. But if you are just playing vanilla Minecraft, you want to play with friends on different consoles, it's not.
Honestly, yes, those free-to-play exclusive cross-platform games are really popular, but I feel like only a couple of them actually take off compared to the amount that are actually released. Um, in my opinion, the biggest games tend to be those are the ones with uh like them single releases games that have had a lot of hype behind them for a while, like Cyberpunk 2077, or you can look back to Spider-Man, the original Spider-Man game, and Spider-Man Miles Morales, even though they're technically part of the series. They're both all of them are games that have been hyped up for a while. They're relatively exclusive games in the fact that you know you can only play them. You can't play them cross-platform. So I feel like those are the games to look out for in the future. Games that have them one-shot games that have no series, not much of a series backing them, and a lot of potential behind them. That being said, there's potential that they could bust. Throwback to Anthem, which looked like a really good game, and I'm still very disappointed in the way it turned out. But yeah, I think you get my point. There's those. I feel like those are going to be the bigger games coming in the future.
Yeah, and then Cyberpunk 2077 has to be fixed for PS4 and Xbox One.
Yeah,
It's pretty disappointing on those two consoles. It's fine on like the new gen consoles, which is good at least, and it's fine on PC. But yeah, the graphics on the PS4 and Xbox One,
it's a
it's
par.
Vice City type of vibes.
Yeah. Good games coming out soon. Hitman 3. Protham was hype about that.
Of course.
Uh, let's see. There's a new Super Mario game coming out. Let's see. Just scrolling through now. Uh, uh,
I think 2K21 is gonna be pretty good this the new sports games just because they're technically like
yeah. I mean, I've never really been a big fan of sports games, only because I feel like they're essentially copy and pastes of old games. So
I agree, but I think like this is technically the first official like next gen video game. So I think like a lot of the graphics and they'll have more capabilities to like what they could do. And I mean honestly, the next 2K and the next Madden are probably like the only ones I'll probably get for the PS5 or what I'm planning on getting. So I think those are probably two pretty good upcoming video games.
There's also GTA 6. It might not come out next year, but there have been a decent amount of leaks that proves its existence, at least from Rockstar. So that's a game you might want to look into because GTA 5 is a ground-shattering game. So that's going to be interesting to look out for.
I think that's pretty much it for upcoming. Like, those are pretty much the video games.
Yeah. Yeah, that's for the future. I mean, but I mean, since this is a 2020 recap, what games do you guys think were the biggest over the past year?
I'd say mainly indie games like Among Us.
Yeah,
What was the
Fall Guys.
yeah, Fall Guys, Phasmophobia.
Bro, I swear, bro, Phasmophobia.
Yeah, those games were pretty big. Like it was mainly indie games this year, honestly, just because a bunch of people were just at
Yeah,
home,
that's true.
and you have people
Yeah,
who generally don't play games playing games now, so they were more caught up with like the indie games where you didn't need like consoles and computers and stuff like that to play them.
yeah. Not only that, but indie games also provided a pastime while people wait for major game releases.
Yeah.
Cyberpunk 2077 being the main one behind that. Um, and the a new console drops. I
Mm-hmm.
feel like another reason these are mainly popular is because they're online. You can play with friends, and you can additionally just they're a good pastime while you wait for the PS5, the Xbox Series X, the new Xbox Series X, and stuff, and the games that come with those to drop. So I feel like that's what made them popular. Just the
Honestly,
lack of games in general.
I honestly think for me personally, or like over quarantine, Rocket League and Warzone probably got me through it in terms of games.
Yeah, through the earlier parts of 2020, definitely.
Yeah, but I mean,
Just again, in I feel like multiplayer games were massive over 2020. Sure, single player games are still there. Like I mean, I at least started Red Dead Redemption 2, solid game so far. But uh, yeah. So, but I feel like multiplayer games are what mainly got us through 2020. I think that's it from us. So, thank you guys for listening. If you have anything to tell us, let us know in social media or the comments if you're on YouTube. Thank you guys for listening. Stay tuned for the next one, and Happy New Year.